All right, let's switch to this right now. And Zev, from what I understand, like I said, we got a bunch of stuff, but we're going to be talking about first Stampede coming out from WizKids.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
What is Stampede, Zev?
Stampede is a card game, 2 to 6 players. It is about collecting stamps with animals on it, and the goal of the game is to have five of each. I'm sorry, five of one animal in your display, or at least one of each of the 9 animals in your display. It's a simple game. You draw a card, and then you play a card, and then activate its ability. Each animal has its own ability, and they're all exchanges. See, we're all stamp collectors. We're fair. We don't try to steal from other people without giving something back, and so on. So everything's an exchange. You can exchange with cards in your album, with opponent's album, or with opponent's hand, or your hand for their hand, or the stamp exchange with your hand, or the or your album. So it's always whatever you give. You're either exchanging 1 card or 3 cards, depending on the animal. And if you see on the cover here, you see some.
Yeah,
of
let
the
me switch. I'm actually not. I'm still with just on our shot. I'm going to switch over to your desktop to show people the cover there. There it is. Very nice cover.
Cover. Stampede, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yep. So this is some of the stamps and some of the animals that you'll see in the game. And so here, as I said, the game is right. You draw a card, you play a card, you perform that card's action. Very nice family-friendly game, 2 to 6 players. It plays well at 2. It's a little more, cutthroat a bit, and at higher play counts, it can get a little more chaotic. But there's a lot of things going on because there's so many ways to interact with the other players. Because you're again a lot of times taking cards out of their hands while giving them your cards, or out of their albums, and so on and so forth. Plus, you can also exchange with your own hand and album at times. I have a display here of like some of the animals, some of the cards, so it's all icons.
This artwork is gorgeous, man. I love this bold, striking artwork.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We wanted to be very different with it, and also the designer spent many years developing the icons so that people can immediately grok them, or soon after learning them, grok them. So, for example, the lion here, you'll see there's an exchange. The double arrows is always the exchange, and all the cards have that. So you'll notice that you have 2 books in front of the lion. The book on the bottom with the blue, the white blue, is your album, and anything with a red outline means your opponent. So what you're saying here is when you play the lion, you get to exchange 1 card from your album into an opponent's album, and you take 1 card from their album and put it in your album.
Sure.
So that's what that does there. The rhino, for example, says you take your 3 cards, you put them in the deck, and from the deck you take 3 new cards. So again, it's an exchange with the deck. And the elephant on the left there, you see you take 1 card from your hand to put in your album, you take 1 card from the album and put it in your hand.
Yep.
So very simple,
very clean.
But yeah, and there are 6 more animals, and they all have different abilities. The only one that doesn't have an exchange is the parrot. The parrot just allows you to win if you have 4 of a kind of that parrot.
So the album that you are referencing here, is it just an area in front of you on the table? Is that how that's going to work out?
Correct. That's just the area in front of your table. We call it your stamp album, and that's where you play cards. So again, when you draw a card, you play a card into your album, and then you activate the action, which is some sort of an exchange somewhere. Hand, deck, the stamp exchange, or with your opponent's album or hand. I show you the back of the cards here because what's important is, if you notice, all the backs of the card have 2 animals on them. Mm-hmm. What that means is the front of the card is going to be one of these animals. So if you look at the bottom right there, you have an elephant and a bull. The card is going to be one of those things, and that's important because, as I said, part of the game is you're trying to get 5 of one animal or 1 each of the 9 animals. This sort of gives you an idea of what an opponent has in their hand.
That's really neat. I like that a lot. I like a little bit of the a little information, possibly. Yeah,
exactly.
That's interesting.
Correct. You get a little bit of information, and then you can determine, oh, should I mess with that person right now, or should I wait? You know, like, oh, they don't have, you know, they have four baboons, for example, in their display. Do they have a fifth one? Now, if they had this hand here, you would say, oh man, yeah, they have two chances here. The two card, the middle and the left, is showing a baboon, and you're like, well, that might be the fifth baboon. So I got to be careful as to, what I need to do next. And that's Stampede. 2 to 6 player. It takes about 20 minutes or so to play. That one should be available, if not now, very, very soon, probably later in the month.
Okay, all right. We're going to come back to us for a second. I'll let you look for the next thing. And we are going to be talking about next Arcade. Well, this is a longer title. The Arcade Mega Fighter has like a really long title. What is it?
It's Ultra Deluxe 2D Arcade Mega Fighter.
All right.
And I would say it used to have a longer name. I think we cut it down by like 1 or 2 words.
Ultra Deluxe 2D Arcade Mega Fighter.
Correct.
All right. So, okay, let's go ahead and cut to your desktop here, and let's take a look at that, Zev. There we go. All right, this is some insanity going on that screen. We've got a dinosaur with a wizard's hat, a gorilla wearing armor. There's a guy wielding a shark like a rocket launcher.
No, that's Shark Fist. It's tied to his hand.
Shark Fist. Go ahead.
The dinosaur with the wizard is a Tyrannosaurus.
Oh man, okay.
The gorilla is the Pogorilla. He's on a pogo stick.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Got it.
The lady above the gorilla is Amoeba Bandita.
Okay.
To the left of her is I think Lali.
She's got like a big candy cane and lollipop. Yeah.
She has a lot of candy powers. And the last one, the octopus thing is Cyclopticus or Cycloptopus. That's it. So yes, you could tell it's meant to be humorous. Yes, it's a 2-player game, and it evokes the feeling of like the team arcade battle. So it's a 3 versus 3 battle. So you're going to be drafting. Okay. Let's see if I can pull them here. So you'll be drafting out of the 15 different fighters. So here you have Bunny and Carrot and Coldergeist. There's a couple others. You'll be drafting 3 fighters each player. It's a 2-player game.
Okay.
And one is going to be your frontline fighter, and the other 2 are going to be on your sideline fighters. And your frontline fighter is the one going to be attacking. But one of the actions you have is you can swap out a sideline fighter to become a frontline fighter. So it's how you interact with your fighters. Like when to move them up, when to keep them back, to protect them, and so on, to keep them alive. The object of the game, of course, is to KO all the fighters of your opponent.
Okay, so this kind of sounds like a perverse twist on Pokemon or something like that. I mean,
yes. You're not summoning them or anything, but you are playing button cards. So you can see, for example, if you look at Bunny and Carrot, the middle card, you have the Chomp and Stomp. So if you play a blue and a yellow card, you can activate the Chomp and Stomp attack, and it tells you it does 1 damage to a frontline fighter, and then opponent discards 1 card. Now further on your turn, so the other actions you have 3 actions. So you can start a combo, you can string a combo, you can swap fighters, you can taunt, which means you get super tokens, which powers up some of the attacks. If you look at the yellow bar attack, the 3rd attack, is always the ultimate attack.
Okay.
And you always have to spend super tokens. So the Beaster Bunny, for example, for Bunny and Carrot, you need 2 yellows and 5 super tokens to attack. And that one, you do 4 damage to a frontline fighter. The opponent gains no super tokens from the attack, and Bunny and Carrot heals 2 wounds. So they're very powerful, the attacks.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is that, so you could do play blue and yellow, do the Chomp and Stomp, but let's say that you don't have the cards to continue with Bunny and Carrot to attack. So you ended up with a yellow, but you know what? You have another yellow in your hand, let's say. So you can use an action to swap a fighter, make Coldergeist, let's say, your frontline fighter, and then by playing another yellow, now you can do the Scurry Flurry attack, because now it's 2 yellows, and you had a yellow from previous, plus a yellow now, and now you can do the Scurry Flurry attack, which allows you to do 2 damage to a frontline fighter, and then opponent must swap with a sideline fighter.
Okay, so you can do little combos because you can use that card for both. Yeah.
Exactly. So it all depends on what button cards you have in your hand, and then how to manipulate so that you can play more attacks with less cards and fewer actions, of course. Each fighter also has 2 abilities, which you see on the bottom of the cards. Some of them can be played on an opponent's turn. Some of them can only be played on your turn. Some are triggers, so they're reactive. And then there are some that will only work, like Amoeba Bandita. She only works, the cytoplasm only works when she's in the front. And then it says opponent fighters can't heal. So if she's the frontline fighter, then no opponent can heal. So that's just it. So we do, again, a lot of funny names, but very arcade style. You're playing the button cards. I don't know if I have, let's see if I have, so here, you'll see some example of button cards here. Here's the Frankfurterer. He has a weenie gun, a kraut bomb, a meat seeker, and his 2 abilities are relish and chaos and ketchup and mustard.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
So you can see the button cards. So for example, you have a red one here. And also, actually, when there's a single color, you also get a resource. So if I just play this red card, see the star here, it tells you I get a super token.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a display of another button here. Okay, this is just more. Oh, Slumberjack and the Tyrannosaurus, as you can see. So 2 more fighter cards there. And you can see they have the hit points. Usually it runs from like 8 to about 11, maybe 12. Okay. And hit points are cumulative, so they stay on a character unless you start healing them. And again, when you reach their maximum, they get KO'd. And some fighters will also get, here's some more button cards. So here you have a blue and a yellow. Some of them have 2 colors, so you can orient them the way you want. And some of them also have blocks. Yeah, so you have, so here was what I was talking about, the start combo and string combo. So here you can say I play the blue and the yellow, and I get the weenie gun attack. And then if I play a red, all of a sudden now I have yellow-red. So on the same fighter, I can now play the kraut bomb because I played blue-yellow, and then I added a red, so I have yellow-red. So I'm able to start combo with a weenie gun, and then string a combo and play the kraut bomb. And that's with the same fighter. So so if I got lucky and I had those colors, I didn't have to swap another fighter out. I was able to use the same fighter to continue an attack.
Right.
But again, you get 3 actions.
Yeah, so if you're not wasting your middle action having to swap someone in and out, then you can keep doing more, right?
Exactly. And then there are swap tokens that you can gain, so that allows you to swap fighters for free. And then there are some abilities that either force an opponent to swap or allows you to swap. So it depends on the abilities. Let me just see if I have another button card. No. So getting back to so here you can see 3 button cards, and I think I had another one. No, we'll do 3. So we have single button cards that have 2 colors, so your choice. And the other one is a single color and a shield, so you're able to block some attacks. So if you play a card from your shield, you'll block that much damage coming in from an attack. Usually you gain a super token once one of your characters takes damage, so at least you get some compensation for it. But when you play a block, you forego getting a super token because you were able to do a block even if damage goes through.
Well, the artwork and the theme certainly live up to the ridiculousness I'm seeing on display here, but I'm also seeing more gameplay than I was expecting at first. There's a decent amount going on here. This is interesting. This is captivating. I could see a knockdown, drag-out fight going on here that I would want to be a part of. So how many players is this for again?
2 players.
It's just head-to-head. Draft your guys, right? Grab your guys, bring them to the table, and fight. Okay.
And with 15 fighters, you're only playing 3-on-3, so there's multiple combinations that you can have. I think even on the bottom of the box we mentioned, I think it's like a few 100,000 combos that you can do,
right,
or something like that. But yeah, and it's 2-player, and it takes about 30 to 45 minutes, I believe.
So when is this guy coming out, Zev?
I believe if it's not available now, it should be available soon. And basically, and most of the things that we show Obviously, we tell people to, please, if you can get it at your local stores and stuff, absolutely go do that. If you have trouble getting it or there's no store next to you, but obviously with the world the way it is, we do. You can get it online at shop.wizkids.com. So you can get it on our website.
All right, so this is available now or very, very soon. And you mentioned Stampede was a little bit later, right?
I think so. I think you can pre-order it now. But yes, it should be out. I believe this month is its scheduled thing. A lot of things got pushed back. So
sure.
And I don't remember the schedule of all the stuff.
No problem. All right.
Pretty sure.
Well, it looks good so far. You're 2 for 2 with me, old buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and take a look at. Let me switch out of here and go to our faces for a moment. And we're going to take a look at Red Cap Ruckus. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Red Cap Ruckus. Kind of sounds like an expansion to Arcade Mega Fighter. I don't know, but it's its own thing.
But it's not. No, it's not.
All right.
Much simpler.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at that. I see it's up on your end, so let's take a look at it. Okay, Red Cap Ruckus. I see some gnomes having at it.
Yes, so Red Cap is an English term for gnomes.
Okay.
That's what they call them. So that's why we have the Red Cap, and also the fact that you're fighting. They're fighting on top of a mushroom, and mushroom have the red cap. There are red cap mushrooms, so it's a whole pun kind of thing. So you have these tribes of gnomes fighting each other on top of a mushroom. Red Cap Ruckus, I believe 2 to 4, actually 1 to 4, because there is some solo rules, so you can play 1 to 4 players. You are, let's see if I can get the thing. Yep. So you are, let me see before I get to that one. So yeah, this is what the table is going to look like. You got a big mushroom stem there. You have the crystal token up on the right there. What you're doing is you remember like in the arcade machines, usually like when you throw a coin down the machine and then a sweeper is like hitting all the coins and you're trying to push them off the edge.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
This is the same thing. So yeah, so your finger is like the sweeper. So you're putting a nice heavy chip of a gnome onto the board, and you're pushing, and you're trying to push the other gnomes out of the way, and you're trying to drop your opponent gnomes. Basically, you're going to score for the gnomes that you drop on your turn. Some of yours can fall, and you might get some negative points in that way. But you are trying to drop the Great Crystal. It's worth like 5 points or something, and that ends the game. Let's see if I have another shot there. Sorry. So you can see so the finger. So it shows you. So the yellow, there are borders. So you take your finger and you're pushing it on the board, and you are again just going to have a big mass of chips on the board, and then they'll start being splayed outwards and off the table there.
So you can't pass your finger past the lip of that circle.
Exactly.
You're just pushing up to the edge. Okay.
Up to the edge, right? Your finger can't go on the battlefield. You can't flick the token. You have to like just slowly push it, same direction. You can't like wiggle it around. You have to just boop one direction. Up on the screen, you see some of the characters. And they're worth different points. You have like the twin gnomes in the yellow there. You have the Volter gnome on the bottom right there. You have the Tenacious gnome. That's the gnome hanging on there. I think with the Tenacious gnome, if you knock them down, you can immediately pick them up and use them again. So it's almost like taking an extra turn.
Okay.
Then you have like your fighter gnome, your fighter gnomes, and then you have champions as well. Do I have another? No. So that's it. So yeah, really gameplay very simple, very family friendly. Really anyone can grok it. You put it on the table, and anybody walking by could say, "Yep, I know how to play this game." I mean, really that simple. You almost need not, except for any point values or whatever. But in terms of the mechanisms, you just you know exactly what to do.
So Zev, tell me a little bit about the construction of this one. I see there a 3D display of it. Is this just a tree, a cardboard tree that then you put this top resting on above it?
Absolutely, you're correct. So a lot of standees or stuff, they have like the X, like two cardboards that slot together. Mm-hmm. So that makes the stem, and then there's some like raised ridges, and you put that mushroom top right onto the stem. So it's actually, about 6-7 inches off the table. So it's a I think a 3-piece construction. 2 for the stem, 1 for the mushroom top.
Okay. And the chips, like you said, they're nice and hardy. They're sort of heavy
Yes.
poker-style chips, I'm guessing, right?
Correct. Yeah, they make a very nice thud when they fall off the edge of the thing. A nice, almost metallic kind of thud there, or big, heavy plastic with some metallic thud there. The crystal also is a 2-plate, actually a 3-piece, because I think you slot the 2 elements there, and then it fits on the base that you see over there.
Right. It's like the surface we're playing on reversed, upside down, basically, right?
Exactly. So you're trying to knock that down. That's when the game's over. Then there's a couple of other rules. There's some twigs in the game which you can use to help seed or push chips on the board. I think a lot of that's for solo mode as well, or 2-player mode. With 2-player you would play 2 colors, but you choose one. When you run out of the chips of one color and the game is still going, you use the second color. And then with the solo mode, there are things where I think you're trying to, knock down the twigs, or it tells how many chips do you need to use to get to knock down everything from the top.
Okay.
But it's very, very simple, fun little family thing.
Yeah. What's the? Do you have an idea on the MSRP for this guy?
Good question. It's not more than I think it's 40. So it's between 30 and 40. I think it's probably close to $40.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a lot of poker chips and all that, so that's going to be expensive.
You get 40. Yeah, there's like 10 each of the 4 colors, so you get 40 poker chips. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what drives the cost.
And do you know when this is coming out?
This one should be. I'm gonna say August, September.
Okay, so a little bit after the other 2 we've talked about. All right, sounds good. You've got a busy schedule coming up, man. And we're not even.
A lot of it got pushed back. That's why.
That's exactly it. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and change gears here. Let's talk about Seastead.
All right, I will get that.
Go ahead and look that up. What is Seastead? This is one I've actually, I think, heard about this one. The other ones I had not heard about.
Oh, okay.
You
know what? I don't have. I thought I had the cover, but I don't. But it's available. So Seastead is a 2-player game, like in a Cosmos-style box.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in the world of Flotilla.
Right.
So I want to stress, it's set in the world of Flotilla. Right. It's not Flotilla 2-player. So it's not. It doesn't have that changeover mechanic that Flotilla has. It's actually by 2 different designers. Mm-hmm. That we adopted the theme to fit their design, but it just fits so nicely into the world. So so it's 2-player game. It's a what do you call it? Like not like an I split you choose mechanic, but it's a sharing mechanic.
Okay.
Basically, when you dive, let me see if I show some dive cards here. So here I have some dive cards. Dive cards are when you reveal a dive card, you choose one set of resources, your opponent gets the other set of resources.
Okay.
And there are 4 flotilla tiles on the table, so there's always 4 flotilla tiles. And you gain the resources; they go in your supply. Getting back to the board here, so you have 3 different. Actually, you have 4 different types of wooden components. You have the shipyard, the academy, and the port. And we also have boats.
Right.
So you get to on your turn, if you don't pick a dive card, you could take the build action. So it's either a dive action or a build action. So dive card is, as I said, you just draw a card and you get resources. Your opponent gets resources. With the shipyard, with the build action, you get to build one of these buildings and put them on a space on a flotilla. Okay. And the flotillas have like about 6 spaces. There's a cost usually to put it on a flotilla. There's also abilities on a flotilla. I apologize, I don't have a flotilla tile handy. What do you call it? Yeah, and when you finish a row, so let's say if I play all my shipyards, I get to do that ability on the right with the ship wheel.
Right.
If I finish a column, which is downwards, I get to do the ability listed on the bottom. And on each row, each column has the same ability. You swap demand tokens. So yeah, you're getting points for the stuff where you build. You have also, let's see, do I have some specialist cards? Hold on, I did see some specialist cards. Those are decree cards. I can get into that shortly. I thought I had some specialist cards. Yeah, so these are specialist cards. You'll notice some of the artwork is from the Flotilla game. So when you place academies, you're able to pick up a specialist card. Specialists have many abilities. They're also worth 1 point for any unused, Any unused specialist is worth 1 point at the end of the game. Sorry.
Okay.
But they have good ability, so most likely you're probably going to use them. So, for example, the salvager on the right here says take 2 cleanup tokens from the supply, and cleanup tokens at the end are also worth 1 point. You can return one of your ships from any location in the game to the game box. So if you do, you take another cleanup token. So if you have a ship that's not doing anything for you or whatnot, you can get +1 cleanup token. Ships are cool because they help reduce the cost of a building by 1 resource, but it also helps your opponent. But if your opponent builds on an area with your ship, you get a free resource as well.
Interesting. This seems like quite the balance between giving yourself enough while being careful about what you give your opponent. It seems like almost every action going on here is about what you give up while you're doing what you're doing. Which is very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of parameters that are about giving up something and while you get something. And which choice do you make? When do you do it? What do you give them?
Exactly. Perfect. No, you encapsulated it perfectly. It's really a matter of, right, how badly do I need something and how much will it help? Will it help my opponent more than me?
Right.
So it's really, but no matter what, you're going to help your opponent in some way. You're just hoping that your choice will help you more, whether in the short term or in the long term.
Right.
Is a decision. And that's a lot of the decisions in terms of like where you build, when you dive, and so on. So also there's a solo mode in the game. So I did say it's 2-player, but there is a solo mode.
Okay.
And also, if you notice, like the specialists have A and B here, that's because the flotillas have an A side and a B side. So the base game is all A side. And if you want more strategy and more different ways of playing, the flotillas have a B side, which now you can use the B specialist, and also that's where the decree cards come into action, which I had right over here. Right. So these are cards that you can gain, and again, they do different abilities. So, for example, Scuttle Fleet on the left there that says when a building is placed at a space containing one of your ships, you could return the ship to the box and take 2 resources of your choice. So they just add another set of cards in which you can utilize some extra abilities.
All right, it looks good. Yeah, I like the look of this. I like the sound of it. One of my favorite games is Abyss, which is all about that give and take. That I give you something to get something. So this seems like something I'm really going to enjoy. I love that idea.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. This one, I think we're also looking at probably September, October.
Okay.
So we're moving further out a bit.
All right, start saving money, folks, because August, September, October, you're gonna need some money for some WizKids games. I'm telling you. All right, very nice, Zev.
Yes.
Looking good. Let's go ahead and take a look at Super Skill Pinball. See how many more of these. You've got quite the slate. Let's see how many more of these we can talk about here.
You got it. Yeah, you just tell me when, my friend.
No problem. We're good. We have to make it to, at the very least, an epic game known as Waddle Downtown. All right, Super Skill Pinball. I see you got it up on the screen there. Let's take a look at that.
All right, so Super Skill Pinball is a 1 to 4 player roll and write game with a pinball theme. Mm-hmm. A few months ago, we released a print and play version of the first table, Carnival, not full color, but it was playable for people to test the game, and There's even videos on how to play it and even a playthrough, which we've shown in various formats. So you can definitely, I think you could probably still find that on BGG or other resources that you can where you can download the print and play and also the print and play from our website, and maybe even also the video on how to play the game. So you can check our website or other on-site resources.
Okay.
So we've shown Carnival. So this is the full color version of Carnival. So there are 4 different pinball tables in the game, and there are 4 copies of each thing. So again, if you're playing with 4 people, you can play 4 players can play Carnival. Each pinball table comes with 2 sheets, basically the table, which is on the bottom here, and then the back glass, which is the term in pinball, the thing on top of the pinball machine. So you have the name of the machine with some artwork. On the left, we have on this table, you have the scoring. So these are the stars, and then you can nudge. Nudge is the ability to, since you can't physically nudge this thing, we call it nudge, where you, well, let me get into quickly the gameplay. You roll 2 dice. Everyone shares the 2 dice. You roll 2 dice, and you choose one of the dice to use, and you mark off a box corresponding to the number you choose. So, for example, we start on top here. I don't know if you can see my cursor moving here.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Cool. So let's say that we roll a 3 and a 6, for example. So I can use the 3, I can use the 6, and no matter what I use, my opponents can use the same number or a different number. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So if I use the 3, I can immediately, if I want, I can rub off this 3-4 box over here. If I use the 6, I can rub off the 5-6 box here or mark it off. I don't even have to. If I want, I can drop a zone. I can immediately go to the bumpers down here. If I want, I can immediately go to the drop targets. But basically, once I choose a number, I want to mark off a box or fill a box containing that number. And you notice the little pinball tokens here. That's where you move the pinball to show what zone you're in.
Okay.
So here, Carnival has 4 zones. You have the Ferris wheel zones, the bumper zones, the drop target, and then the flipper zones. So you're always rolling 2 dice. When everyone's ready, you re-roll the dice again. You choose a number, and you keep marking off boxes. You eventually get down to the flipper, and you can mark off boxes in the flipper zone, and you use the flippers, like in a pinball machine, to send the ball back up. You don't have to send the ball to the highest zone. You can send the ball anywhere you wish. But if you notice...
Okay, so once you start to drop back down, you cannot go back up until the flippers send you back.
Exactly, yep, because gravity sends the ball down, and you can't send it back up until the flipper. And this is where the colors also matter. Notice you have a red flipper and a yellow flipper. So the red flipper sends the ball to any feature that's white or red. So, for example, this red flipper could hit the red drop targets here. It could hit the feet of strength targets over here. It could hit the bumpers over here, but it could not go up this yellow alleyway and hit the Ferris wheels because it's a red flipper. So also where you want the ball to land, or where you can land and where you mark off, you have to decide where you're trying to hit next. Because, for example, let's say I'm in the flipper zone and I have to mark off a 3. Well, or let's say a 3. So I go, do I want to mark off the yellow flipper 3 or the red flipper 3? Where do I want to go next?
Right.
So you want to try to figure out what you can do there. So you're hitting the targets. A lot of like in a pinball, when you drop a set of targets, they pop back up. This is represented by, if you knock all, let's say the duckies targets here, if you get all 3 here, you get to erase them, and you get a bonus, which is listed here. And you can get a multi-ball, you can get a flipper pass, or you can hit 2 feet of strength targets. So you can go up here and knock down 2 targets here and score. Notice the little stars here. That tells you how many points to mark off, which is you do on the back glass over here.
Right.
And then there are rules for the type of boxes. So a single border box is part of a set usually, and the sets could be a set of 1 up to like a set of 6. And actually over here with the bumpers, it's a set of 12. So you don't erase anything until all 12 of these bumper boxes are marked off, and then they become reusable again. A double line box means it's not erased for the rest of the game. So, for example, if I knock down the duckies targets and I choose the multi-ball bonus, I can't choose the multi-ball bonus again. The dash boxes are erased at the end of each round.
Okay.
And that's the game. The game is 3 rounds, and when you lose a ball, that's when the round is over.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you immediately start a next round. So the next roll is you erase all the dash boxes. Any sets you keep, a double bonus you don't erase.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for everybody to. You don't have to wait for everyone to lose a ball to jump right back in. You never. There's no turns. You're always going, basically.
Exactly. You're always going, and that's why in this game, sometimes someone will be either could be in round 1 while you're in round 2 because you lost the ball and they're still going with theirs.
Yeah.
So at the end of the 3rd round, you stop playing while the others finish.
That's cool.
But we notice that very rarely. The game soon ends because you are limited in the flipper boxes.
Sure.
So
you're going to run out of boxes in a moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're
cool.
not waiting a half hour for your opponent to finish there.
Well, this sounds very thematic. I gotta say, it's interestingly thematic. I could see this being. I always look for games that I'm gonna have an easier time teaching if I utilize the theme provided.
Yes.
You know, I want to be able to get across what I want to teach by using the lingo, the terminology, and just the clues built into a game. This is filled to the brim with clues. You know, I can just tell you why this works the way it works. Why the ball can't go back up, because it's falling. When you hit it with a flipper, you can send it back. So, yeah, it's great. I really like the implications of the theme here are really working for me.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool.
And there's a couple of things, just one other thing, like there's even skill shots you can get. So if you get all 3 Ferris wheel boxes, you get a skill shot. A skill shot allows you to replace one of the dice with the number that you circle, that you chose as your skill shot. And you can have multiple skill shots. So let's say, you roll a 1 and a 4, and it's like, oh man, I really need that 5. Oh, I got a skill shot of 5. Boom, I could turn one of those dice for myself into a 5.
You can bank a number, yeah.
Yes. So this is Carnival. I'll just, as a quick thing, just show you, we'll have the other tables, which we've never really shown anyone. So this is, I think, the first time. Here's Cyber Hack. So this is a cyberpunk theme, and on the back glass is actually a mini game on the back glass.
Okay.
So when you get these 3 bumpers on the table, the run, you actually start a run mini game, and then you start marking off these boxes here for extra points. As another quick thing, to show, the next one is Dance Fever. So we have a nice 70s disco theme with another mini play field up here on the back glass.
All right, cool. Yeah, I see it.
Then finally, we have Dragon Slayer. So we actually have a fantasy themed thing where you're going after a dragon horde, and actually you can cast spells as well, and they do things. So yeah, really a lot of different table, and they're all different difficulty. Carnival is the easiest. Dragon Slayer and Cyberhack are moderate, and actually Dance Fever is the hardest of them.
All right, very cool. Yeah, this looks great.
Thank you. Yes, and that one, this should be August, September as well.
All right, August, September for that one.
Yeah, all right, we're really excited about this one.
Let's talk about Gates of Mara, and then we'll do let's do Gates of Mara fairly quickly. Waddle Downtown, and then we'll call it at that point. You good with that? I'm very good with that. We'll mention the other 2 things.
Okay.
We'll just talk about the last 2 things. All right.
Sounds good. Let me get some Mara images up.
All right, yeah, you do that. While you're doing that, I'll state again everything we've talked about here, folks. If you missed it, if you're just joining us, make sure you go back later on and check this out. We talked about Stampede, an animal stamp collecting game in which you're going to be trading with your opponents. We talked about Crazy Something 2D Arcade Mega Fighter. That name is insane, Zev. Insane. That one is a head-to-head game with some pixelated artwork. That's sort of, old school artwork. Red Cap Ruckus, a dexterity game. Seastead, we talked about, 2-player game set in the world of Flotilla. And Super Skill Pinball you just saw. Now we're going to be talking about Gates of is it Mara?
Yep, Gates of Mara.
Here we go. Let's take a look at that. I'm loving that cover. It's very cool.
Thank you.
All right, yes. Zev, what is this?
So this is by the designer J.B. Howell. He's the co-designer of Flotilla. This is a worker placement area influence, area majority type game, or more area influence type. You are, just as a short thing, gates open every 100 years to the elemental realms, and you're trying to exert influence and trade within those realms for another 100 years of peace.
Yeah, everybody knows that. That's common.
Everybody knows that, and everybody wants a peace. Yes, everyone wants peace. So there are. This is a setup for a 4-player. So you notice the different realm boards.
Cool.
And obviously, with the less players, you take away a board. There's always the Chaos realm, the gray board.
Okay.
And then you would take away one of the others. You have Earth, Fire, Water, Air. The things in the middle here are standard gates. These are gates that connect 2 realms.
Okay.
And then you have the central gate, which connects all realms.
All right.
If you notice the shapes, for example, the central realm has a triangle. The standard has a triangle and a square. And then on the realms themselves, they have triangle, square, and circle. Why that's important is because you will have figures. Yep, as you can see, these are the figures. There are 4 tribes in the game.
Okay.
And each of the figures have a particular base shape. That tells you where you can place them. So the circle, the figures with the circles, they're usually your merchants and specialists. They can be placed only on a realm. Your champion over here with the square can be placed on the in between 2 realms.
Right.
And the leader is a triangle. He can be placed on either the central gate, the standard gate, or the realm. What's interesting is, for example, the leader, if you put him on a realm, he's worth 3 influence on a realm. If you put him on a standard gate, he puts 2 influence in the 2 realms that are connected. But if you put him in the middle, in the central gate, he's worth 1 influence on all the realms.
Right.
So there's an inverse thing on how strong a character is depending on where he's focused, where the figure is focused.
Interesting.
And then you have enchanters. Enchanters have a hex base. They can only be placed on an enchanter board. Enchantment board allows you to buy enchantments, which are these cards here.
Okay.
So notice you can spend elements here. And what you do is you attach enchantments to figures so that when you place a figure on the board, you can also activate their ability. This is an interesting worker placement in that the value of the worker placement is you have to pay to place the worker as well. So it's not so the value is not just only on where you place the thing, it's the worker itself has a value. So you have to pay to put a worker on the board. The worker itself has some abilities, and then where you place it also has abilities. And if the worker has any enchantments or banners or other things attached to it, they also have those abilities. So there is an engine building going on because depending on what you put on a figure and then activating that figure, you get to do a bunch of different things.
Yeah, you're modifying. I mean, throughout the game, you're actually modifying not the places where they go, but the powers of the workers.
Exactly right. Because you can't modify the places where they're going. So here, just as this shows you the player board. So so you could see like under each figure, there's the cost shows you like energy. It's all energy. So for example, this leftmost figure over here costs 1 energy to activate, and then when you place it, you can see you spend something and you get 1 influence, for example. And the same thing for all the figures. So everyone has the same 7 types of figures. You get 2 enchanters, you have your champion, your leader, you have a specialist, and 2 merchants. So that's the thing on the board. And then you have what's called caravans. Caravans can also be placed on a realm for special abilities because on the realm itself, in the caravan spaces, there's something you can gain. But there's only a few ways to get a caravan on. Usually the leader, you can pay, if you notice down here, 1 energy allows you to place a caravan. But again, it comes as part of activating the champion. And then there are some banners and other cards that allow you to put a caravan on. You also have claim tokens. This is when you have influence, because at the end of a round, when everybody passes, Then you go to each realm and you see who has the most influence. The person with the most influence gets to place 2 claim tokens, second most 1. And at the end of the game, then you do majority, who has the most claim on each realm, and you get points for that. You also get points for the most keys. You get points for your gems, and so on and so forth. So many different things going on.
Right.
Here's a close-up of a realm board. So here you can see where you place your claim tokens. You have your influence track going around here. This is when you place your caravan. So if I place my caravan here, I get an extra influence.
Okay.
If I place a figure on any of these spots, it shows you that for 1 energy, I can claim a banner on the left and the right. If I put it in the middle, I can get 1 energy, and I can get 3 fire gems or 2 earth gems.
Okay.
And again, each realm has different resources. They're all banners there. Their merchant spaces are a little different, and what you gain is a little different.
And it looks like you flip over the board if you're playing with a different number of players. That one says 3+ on it.
Not flip over. You remove a board.
That one would be out if they were playing with 2 players, I guess.
Yeah. So
that must be what that means, right?
Yeah, you always have the chaos realm, but you choose the others randomly.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so you never know what to take out. And then you have just one thing. You have elemental lords that are in the game, and they're in the realms, and they give you special powers when you place in their realms. And then you have a wanderer. The wanderer is like a marketplace dude where you can start exchanging some elements for a different element. So that can help you out if you're looking for a particular thing. So that's Gates of Mara. 2 to 4 players. Takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours to play. A very heavy, not very heavy, but a heavy Euro style game.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on. It looks good. I love the look of it. When is this coming out?
October. This was going to be like an Essen release. That's what we were shooting for. Right. So, but we're still going to release it in October.
All right. Sounds good. That's much different from most everything else we've taken a look at here today. And I'd even wager that the next thing we're taking a look at is back to what we've been seeing, the kind of game we've been seeing, because it's called Waddle Downtown. I'm guessing it's not a very heavy, 18xx style game, but maybe I'm wrong.
You are not wrong. you know your games. I'm going to get the images here.
No problem. Yeah, I'm on our screen right now letting you scroll so that people don't have to sit through that bit. That's no problem.
So just like this. So Waddle is actually, it's 2 designers. You have Isaac Shalev is one of the designers. The other one is Raf Koster. And a lot of people may know the name. He was like the lead designer of Ultima Online, and he was like creative director for Star Wars Galaxies.
Wow. So
very well known in the video field, we'll say, the video game field.
Right.
So this was an abstract, which we applied a theme to it.
Okay.
And I got the cover up now.
There we go. Let's take a look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it's adorable.
Thank you. Yeah, so Waddle Downtown. Yep, it is a 2 to 4 player game. It is about penguins about town. The penguins are very, very curious, and they're going to various locations. Let me just see how far I go. No, we'll do that. Let's see. We have so these are some of the locations. There are 5 different locations. So the museum, a restaurant, like an opera house or something. So they're very curious. You can see them doing all sorts of crazy little things here.
Okay.
So these are some of the places. Here's a couple. You got the aquarium and the library as well. This is them on the board. So you can see there's going to be penguin meeples there.
Wow. Okay.
So this, I wanted to get you to the cards here. So on your turn, you're going to play a card, and you're going to score that card. So for example, let's say I play odd. If I play odd, I'm going to score places with 1, 3, or 5 penguins. So I get to place a card first, and then I have an action. I can either take any penguins I happen to have in my supply and put them in a set of places in one neighborhood.
Okay.
And again, it depends on the number of players. In 2 player, there is 1 neighborhood. In 3 and 4 players, there are 2 neighborhoods. And they were on the places you saw some light-colored and dark-colored borders.
Yes.
That represents the neighborhoods.
Yes.
So you put them in a neighborhood, and then you score. So obviously, you're going to use your action to help you score the most you can on your card. The other thing you can do is not only, you can either, as I said, take as many penguins from your supply and put them on the board, or you can empty a place of penguins. So you take all the penguins of one place and you distribute them into one neighborhood, any way you want, but just in one neighborhood, and then you score your card.
Okay.
And then you turn this over. Everyone has the same hand of cards. I apologize. Everyone has the same deck of cards, but you draw, I think, 4 cards into your, up to 4 cards in your hand, and when you play a card, you draw a card. So even though you have the same deck, you may not have the same type of cards currently in your hand.
Right.
The one restriction is you can't play a card that's that's face up in someone's discard pile. So if you have a card on the top of your discard pile, let's say you had odd, I could not play odd until you covered it with something else, and then I could play odd.
Yeah, you can't piggyback that obviously on my play.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the big thing. Yes. So the main thing is playing the card, distributing the penguins either from your supply or from a place, and then scoring the card.
So how do you get new penguins in your supply?
Everyone starts with 4. There is a card that allows a player to, when they remove penguins, they can distribute penguins to players. But usually, once you use all the penguins in your supply, you don't have any more.
Now you got to move the ones in play, move them
exactly,
around.
Exactly. And the game is short. It's like a 20, 30-minute game. Sorry, I went too far that way. So yeah, and there's I think 13 cards in the game, and you're only playing 8, depending on the number of players. I think 6 rounds or 7 rounds, 8 rounds, something like that. So you're never playing all your cards.
Okay.
And so on. So this is like one neighborhood over here. You can see the Waddle, and just on the other coast. So here, and they're all double-sided. So you'll see their dark colored neighborhood, a light colored neighborhood, and some have the split because in a 3-player you have 3 of one color, 2 split color, and then 3 of the other color. Okay. And the 2 places in the middle can be in either neighborhood. Yeah, so you'll see in this.
That sounds interesting. That sounds like a nice wrinkle to the game.
Yeah, very, very, different. A nice theme to an abstract, but very, thinky. You know what I mean? Kind of thinky. It's like, how do I move the penguins to score to optimally score my card? That's what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. That looks very nice. It looks like a great family game. This is,
Thank you.
And the look is just. This is going to be an easy sell. You know what I mean? This game, anybody who looks at it, they want to take this game and mess with it and play with it. So,
absolutely.
Fantastic. Very nice. All right, Zev, let's cut back to us up here. When is this little guy coming out, by the way?
Good question. I think later in the year. I don't for some reason I don't remember. But I think it's later in the year.
So holidays gift.
Yeah,
right
it probably
there.
is holidays. Yeah, it probably is October, November.
All right.
If I'm wrong, I apologize.
Put that, give somebody that gift, folks. All right, we've got a couple more things, but we're just going to talk about them. We're going to wrap this up. Before we started doing this, folks, I told Zev, we'll go for about 10 minutes. We'll just do we'll knock out a little interview about 10 minutes. Yeah, what I meant was an hour. That's what I meant. You knew that, but that's what I meant. All right, so a couple of other things we'll just talk about, Zev. Fantasy Realms is getting an expansion. Love Fantasy Realms, so it's getting an expansion, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And it's just more cards, more ways to score. I'm guessing new combos, all that good stuff.
It actually has 3 new suits, so it's in 2 modules. It's 3 new suits, and there's also cursed items, which is a separate deck.
Cool.
So cursed items, you always have one in front of you. If you use it, it goes face down. You get another one, or any used ones will score at the end of the game. They're usually negative because they do some crazy things. But that's your cursed items. And then the 3 new suits, we have buildings, outsiders, and undead. What's interesting about the undead will help you score the cards in the discard area.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. Very, very different. So that's going to be probably early 21, probably Q1, early 21. So about 47 new cards. And as you said, it's new cards to be used in the 2 modules, and you can mix and match. So you can add both modules, play one module, and so on. Yes.
Cool. And then the other thing is the new printing of Clash of Cultures. The new edition of that.
New edition. The Monumental Edition.
Monumental Edition, that's it. And that's, for those of you that don't know, it's a game that was out before, has been out. It's a big epic game. Clash game, of course. That you are, with WizKids, bringing back to our tables.
Correct. Big, it's a civilization game, yes.
Right, and that's coming out when?
That should be Q1 21, so between January and March 21. Yeah, it's going to encompass the original base game and the expansion Civilizations. So it's going to be a big honking box, probably the same as the Mage Knight Ultimate Edition box, a really big box.
Right.
And it's going to have almost 350 miniatures. We're also including 8 wonders in the game, and they're going to be miniatures this time. In the original, they were standees, so this one, they're actually going to be miniatures. And the other change to them is they were counted apart from cities, but now they're actually considered city pieces. So for those that know the game will understand, but basically they help increase the value of your city. And there are other tweaks to the game. It's the combat a little bit. Instead of D6s, we have D12s with some clash abilities. Barbarians can move in this game, so no longer they just sit there and you can work around them. No, they'll start coming towards you. So yeah, just a bunch of little tweaks there. All new sculpts, all new art.
Yeah, there's some. If you want to see some of the artwork, folks, you can go over to BGG, and the game is listed there. And there's a shot of the cover and some of the concept art.
Absolutely, yes, indeed.
Yeah,
so we're looking forward to that as well.
All right, well, Zev, it's been a pleasure, my friend. I love talking to you, getting to hang out a little bit, even if it's virtually. So
I know. It's really good seeing you.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for telling us all about all of your wonderful games coming up. Like I said, folks, stay tuned to WizKids. They've got games for everybody. You want silly fighting games, they've got them. Kids games, family games, roll and writes, big epic clashing games, all sorts of things. Zev, you're doing a wonderful job, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, I am going to let you go, and I am going to finish up my own thing over here, just a little chat Q&A type thing with the audience. But I'm going to let you go, bud. You have a good day.
You too. Enjoy.
All right, I will see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.